Hey everybody, it's Chris over at Xplane Farm, and today we're going to do a short flight from Surry County Airport to Roanoke Airport. One's in North Carolina, one's in Virginia, and I'm going to be using a little bit the GPS because I've never really used the built-in GPS. Now, in an airliner, I use the FMS or FMC, which is the Flight Management System or Flight Management Computer, but when I'm flying the small planes, I tend to fly slant alpha, which means basically just radio navigation and not using the GPS. So today I'm going to be using the radio navigation a little bit and the GPS. So yeah, let's take a look at it. So if we zoom in here, we've got the route laid out, and if I take a look at the flight plan, if I know how to do that, that's this button here. I've got the points that we're going to. So we're going to Doily, and then the PSK VOR, then to the ROA VOR, and then here we are at KROA, and then I've got the approach. We've got to fly back out to Carenado, and then we can come back in and do the procedure. Let's take a look at the procedure real quick. Plus I've got this neat little drawing tool if I know how to use it, and I think I do. So as we come in here, that's the airport, right? Then we're going to be flying outbound here, kind of turning around at Carenado, and then coming inbound, and then we'll be able to land on runway 24. So what we're doing is we're leaving Surry County here, flying out to Doily, then we're picking up the PSK VOR. From the PSK VOR, we're over to Roanoke VOR and flying the Victor 37 runway airway and Victor 16 airway. And then at Roanoke, we're going to be coming back out to our point, and then we'll come inbound for the RNAV runway 24. And then we should be able to land. How exciting! Let's give it a try. Let's see if this really works. Surry County traffic, this is Twin Cessna 5522 Lima. We'll be departing to the north. Alright, so we're right above freezing, so we're still okay. 8,000 feet. We're doing the right thing here. A little bumpy today, but we're doing okay. Had a little problems with the autopilot, but we got that under control as well. So you can see there we are on the map there that we took off, did the right crosswind, and up to Doily, and then we're going to go over to Roanoke here. So at Doily here, we should then start turning to PSK, which we are. Doing just fine. See why I'm flying IFR today, because just a bit of clouds. Here we are in some rain, too. So you can see how the motorized trim is how it keeps the altitude. So it's just going back and forth there, just kind of rocking it. And that's what's keeping us basically there at 8,000. But no time for that. Let's go ahead and make sure that we've got the weather. Yep, so basically we'll be coming down this way, and hopefully we'll get off at B5 here, or at Alpha, come down to General Aviation and park right here in General Aviation. Oh, it is a rainy and miserable thing out here, isn't it? We want to come down about 1,000 feet a minute, and we want to come down to 4,200, so let's bring us down to at least 6,000. Beautiful scenery down there, isn't it? We got a little town there. Then we're flying over, and yeah. So I realized that the airport is not quite where the VOR is, so it would have taken us off course and then back on again. So we are actually just going to go directly to Carenado right after Roanoke here. And yeah. There's the airport right there, but we're trying to do the entire procedure here, so we're flying overhead. Just for practice, because that's the whole point of doing this thing, is for practice. It took me a second to figure out the autopilot on this thing. So basically you click off altitude and then down it up to set your speed, and then altitude again to capture your altitude. So not hard, just not what I'm used to. Very simple, that's fine. So we're about up to 5,000 feet here, so let's go ahead and pause it. So we see pros is counting down. Let's pull up the plate again, because that's always important, right? So At pros, we want to be at 4,700 feet or above, and we should start seeing the nav, kind of not glide slope, but vertical indicator come into play. And if we don't, we'll just manually step it down ourselves. So I still have no indication here on the glide slope that you know, anything's actually happening, which is fine. So I'll just manually dial in the altitudes as we go along. So we're supposed to hit pros at 4,700 feet or above, and we're going to hit high band, and that's 3,700. So we'll take it at that altitude and go down. After high band, 3220, and our landing altitude is 1,300 feet roughly. Alright, let's just take it off and fly this thing. I'm way too high, at least as far as I can tell. Yeah. Landing light on, prop sync off, fuel pumps on. But we're doing just fine, so. Gears down, 3 green. Roanoke traffic, this is Twin Cessna 5522 Lima on 3 mile final for runway 24. Full stop, Roanoke. Let's get that autopilot off so we're visual from this point on. No pappies that I can tell. Yeah, about the right speed there. Bleeding off a little bit of speed. I'm coming in a little hot on this thing, so I'm just using my throttle to get that sight picture I like. Ooh, a little bit of dip. I'm very proud, I'll be honest with you, very proud of that landing. I've been working with this plane, and it looks like the work is paid off, so let's exit here and we'll clean up and we'll go over everything. And we just held it off, and then butter. Butter! Matter of fact, that's such a beautiful shot. We gotta take a screenshot for that. And just throwing that up, here's the flight plan. So we picked up a doily right here, right? That was doily, and then there was the one VOR, and then we went outbound here, and this is when we came back in. It did follow exactly what we intended here, right? So we basically flew straight out and then came back around at Caris here and then came back in and then did that little turn off at high band, the final approach fix. I hope you enjoyed this flight, and also try to stress that you could have a lot of experience and you still don't know everything and you don't know every plane. So there's going to be things that throw you off. One of the things that threw me off is it just didn't seem to be following the autopilot right away. So what did I do? I put it into manual mode, but then I was overcorrecting. Just a classic mistake, a real problem in a real airplane. So what I had to do is I zoomed in on just the instruments, and then all of a sudden my flying became just fine because the outside world is interfering with your eyes and what you're doing, and you don't, you're up, down, you don't know which way is which. So just focused on the instruments. I got it back to where I wanted it to be, and then I engaged the autopilot, and the autopilot started doing exactly what I asked for. Part of the problem, I think, also is Xplane 12, and this plane is Xplane 11. Some of the lights weren't lighting up, telling you what mode it was in, so I was just kind of guessing by what it was doing. And I didn't know if it'd be smart like an FMS computer is. An FMS computer, if you're going the wrong way, it would have actually came and turned you around. It didn't do that, which is fine. But now I know that, right? Until I actually did the flight, I just didn't know what it would do. So I had to manually put it into a heading mode, and then I turned around, caught what the next waypoint was, and then activated it. I had to activate it. And that was the other thing. I had to activate the approach, which is different than an FMS, sort of. You can kind of see, you stitch up the flight plan, but in this case, no, you had to actually say, yes, activate the approach. So I did that. I caught that right away. And then, again, the autopilot wasn't quite doing what I was expecting it to do on approach and landing, so I just undid it. I was able to follow along with what the guide path was, and then the airport was in front of me, so from that point on, I could just use my eyes, and that's how I guided it down. There were no approach lights, which tells you if you're too high or too low. But I just used my experience on that and did a butter landing, fantastic landing. And so I'm really starting to like this airplane a lot. It is got a couple of quirks, and probably some of that is because it's a Carenado plane, which they're a lot of these were FSX planes that were converted, so they're a little funny. And also because it was Xplane 12, and this is an Xplane 11 plane, so some things weren't converted over. It just happened to work in Xplane 12, so I've been flying it. So if you know the quirks, you're fine. So that's it from Dixieland Farm, everybody. Thanks so much for watching and flying along with me. Take care.